All right, Daytona. You know what that means? We're one taking this guide. So I like 16 to 1, 12 to 1. You can use whatever you want, but I have a small wheel, so I want more maneuverability, so I go 16 to 1. It doesn't really matter though. Offset, I think we're going to keep default. I think iRacing has the right offset for this set. And then brake bias. If you want more stopping power for a big wreck or something, then you can put it up. I like to put it around 70 usually, because if you go too high, it'll start locking up if you use too much brake. So 70 is kind of like that in-between zone where it should work pretty well in terms of stopping for a wreck. It should be second lap, hot lap here. You know what? I'm gonna do the thing. I'm gonna get off a pit road on a high gear, like third gear. This just prevents getting heat in the tires because you go slightly faster, like marginally faster with cold tires on this tire model. So the highest or the lowest you can be without getting qualifying scrutiny is 100 miles an hour. So like just riding it around 100-ish miles an hour. And I'm gonna ride it at around this until about halfway down the backstretch is about when you can start putting the gas in. So I'm gonna probably go about now. Getting the fourth gear. So this will be a second lap, hot lap. The thing about super speedway hot laps is that the out lap is important in the sense that you don't want to make any wheel movements that might put extra heat into your tires. So no erratic movements. Notice I don't really care about where my car is on the track right now. I'm gonna drive pretty far below the wall in 1 and 2 because the speed that you're gonna be at is very much the same by the end of this straightaway upcoming. So just make sure to not move the wheel too much. Okay, so now here's the number one trick that I will teach today. This will be in both the Xfinity and the truck video. On your out lap, you can get a little bit more speed coming to the line if you start high. And then about halfway through the corner, we start turning down the hill. And then we just straighten out our wheel completely as early as possible. Now we're just going to follow the banking down to the yellow line here. Make sure not to hit the apron. Probably should have kept it on the yellow there, but it's not really worth anything. Shallow entry on the yellow. We don't want to take it too wide because that's just chopping off or adding time that we don't need to be adding on. Hold our steering wheel while we're on the yellow line. Let the car come up on its own. Let it lane up. We just straighten out the wheel. You don't want to keep the car pinned down on the bottom or else you're going to choke some of the speed off. But again, setting it for a shallow entry. Keep it on the yellow. Hold your steering wheel. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Let the car start sliding up a little bit on its own. Let it lane up. Straighten out the steering wheel. Now we're going to get all the way back down. For the Geico restart zone, we want to be on the bottom. And that should be a pretty decent lap. And if it's a little slow, it's still the right idea. With a little better execution, you can probably get another half a tenth or so from that. But anyways, some of the ideas of super speedway racing for these fixed races. Yeah, you can sit in the back if you want to. There's going to be wrecks. But if you're sitting in the back, make sure that you're like actually still paying attention, because the trap that people fall into is they'll be sitting in the back, kind of zoning out. They don't react well to a wreck. They don't slow down. They try to like gun it through for some reason. And then suddenly they just wreck for no reason, even though they weren't even racing. I mean, you call it arcade brakes, but it's not even arcade brakes at that point. It's just not being aware of the situation, because you can see a wreck coming from a mile away if you're looking at it. So stay focused, especially if you're hanging in the back. I personally like driving in the front because you can control the race. The trucks in particular, these things can stall out quite a bit. So the people who are controlling the front are really just going to be controlling the race. And the people who are in the back are not going to find it very easy to get to the front. So keep that in mind. I think qualifying is important. I think racing is important. But if you want to just hang out and try to avoid a wreck, well, at least make sure that you avoid the wreck. All right, thank you all for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you all on the track.